Good evening, class and Dr. Crum. This is Curtis. For this video discussion assignment on denominational diversity, I chose to report on Unitarianism. I was initially interested in choosing Unitarianism for this assignment because of the reactions it seemed to stir in both orthodox and liberal circles during the early Republic. One episode in particular was the appointment of Henry Ware, a notable Unitarian minister and theologian, to the Hollis Chair of Divinity at Harvard in 1805. This episode sent a shockwave through the conservative Congregationalist community of New England, so much so that they left Harvard and opened the Andover Theological Seminary as a response to protect and promote a more traditional Calvinist theology, and Andover becomes the first in a series of theological seminaries that were established during the early Republic period. The Unitarian Church can almost be seen as the intellectual faith of the post-deist age. It originates out of New England as the child of puritanical heritage and Enlightenment fervor during the latter half of the 18th century. But it doesn't really formalize into a church until much later in the early Republic period. It's similar to Quakerism in that way, in that it was wary of organized religion and so never really incorporated for decades, especially beyond the congregational level. But as it gains ground, it gains a lot of admirers, Thomas Jefferson being one of them. He wrote extensively about Unitarianism and its growing influence in several letters throughout his later life. One quote that surprises me is from his letter to James Smith in December of 1822. Jefferson wrote, "The pure and simple unity of the Creator of the universe is now all but ascendant in the Eastern states. It is dawning in the West and advancing towards the South, and I confidently expect that the present generation will see Unitarianism become the general religion of the United States." So it's interesting that Jefferson felt so strongly about the rise of Unitarianism in the early Republic that he felt that it would become the dominant religion of the United States. Unitarianism seems to be associated with the intellectual elite of East Coast cities, particularly with professors at prestigious universities. It's a faith based on reason, with an emphasis on Christian teachings before the formulation of tradition and church structure, with a great emphasis on Scripture. The Unitarian faith values and emphasizes Christian simplicity and defies many orthodox Christian doctrines, and was therefore highly criticized and distrusted. The name Unitarian comes from their denial of the Trinity, and even some denying the divinity of Jesus and the infallibility of Jesus. So in a lot of ways, it's sort of seen as the furtherance of the Protestant Reformation. So from the Puritans moving over, the establishment of the Congregational Church, and then the Unitarian Church, and then from Unitarianism through Ralph Waldo Emerson, we get the emergence of Transcendentalism. So Unitarianism is a really interesting theology to study as it kind of binds together these emerging American philosophies throughout the ages. And Unitarians were very involved in civil rights movements and social reform. They established missions and itinerant preachers, and were fervent abolitionists. So they really believed the worth of human life and humanitarian efforts. So it was a very interesting denomination to study. I hope you've enjoyed my presentation, and I look forward to hearing from you. Thank you, and God bless.